Look, if you're trying to close high-paying video editing clients by promising them more views or revenue, you're doing it completely wrong. And I know that sounds backwards because that's literally the advice you hear from all the gurus: sell the outcome. But here's the thing, we just ran a live workshop inside Full-Time Editor where I broke down exactly why selling the outcome kills your chances of landing high-paying clients. And more importantly, I showed the exact 3 things to sell instead of views and revenue to finally start closing those premium clients that will get you to 5 to 10K per month with editing. In this workshop, you'll see me work with editors exactly like you, breaking down their specific situations in real time. So if you can't figure out why clients keep ghosting you or are choosing cheaper editors, stick around because this might be the game changer that you were looking for.
Closing clients is essentially just having other people give you money in order for you to solve their problems, and that is sales psychology. So that is going to be today's main topic, and the biggest principle behind sales psychology is that you or any other person on this planet spends money to go from their current state to their desired state. And that is basically all sales is, just convincing the person, kind of meeting them where they're at their current state, convincing them that you can help them get to their desired state. And in exchange for that, they're going to be fine with giving you their money because they really want to go to this desired state. This happens to you literally every single day in every area of your life. When you're hungry, you buy food and then you become full. That is sales. When you join Full-Time Editor, your current state at the time was that you were making most likely 1 to 2K per month. And why you decided to invest into Full-Time Editor is because your desired state is to make 5 to 10K per month from video editing. It also can even translate to things like to things absolutely not considering money, to kind of non-material things whatsoever. So I spoke to Ali today, and he basically has this issue where parents want him to prioritize school over editing. So Ali's mom current state is that she's worried that Ali is gonna struggle because he won't be able to make editing work. And what Ali's mom wants is for Ali to be happy. That's literally all she wants, because then she's going to be happy herself. And she's going to do everything in her power, or whatever she thinks is best for Ali to be happy, whether that's do editing or for him to go to school. That doesn't really matter. All she wants is for Ali to be happy. Now, this is all well and good, but how do we actually apply this to your client work, and how can you start making more money from editing by closing more clients? Essentially, your clients are content creators who go through this exact cycle. Right now, they're in their current state. They are unhappy content creators. And by positioning yourself as a good editor and by figuring out positioning, by the way, in their head. So to position yourself as a good editor in their head, you need to figure out why they're unhappy, because then you're going to be able to make them happy as well. Ali, you want to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, what if they're happy with their current, maybe, or their current state, but we can make them happier?
Yeah, that's it doesn't necessarily mean that they're sad and depressed, but if you make $10 million a day, then you still have some kind of issue in your life that you are willing to spend money for someone to solve. So you're still unhappy in some sense. It doesn't mean literally unhappy that, they get 0 views and the business is going to absolute crap, their videos are really bad. No, it's not usually like that, but there are also things that they're struggling. And with those things, they're unhappy. No matter how successful you are in life or how good your life situation is, you are going to have things that you're unhappy about. And that's why content creators pay us money. If they were happy about everything and if they were happy to edit videos themselves, they wouldn't need editors. You know what I mean?
Yup, makes sense.
Cool. Antonello, you also want to say something?
No, I just want to point out that maybe if they're happy with their situation, you can always, not create a discomfort for them, but they can figure out there's always something they can improve, like in their situation. So you can actually help them discover that.
Bro,
This can happen.
every single one of us has problems in our
Yeah.
lives, and no matter it's life is never gonna be without problems. Like every single day we face some kind of issue, and content creators can face so many issues with their media businesses just because there are so many moving parts. So people who are really good at YouTube and who run big channels, they are always on the lookout for editors. Even if they're totally happy with their current editing team, even if they have already 10 good editors, they always trial new ones just because they might find better ones. Because editors are the biggest bottleneck in all media business. Like post-production takes tons of time. So there are so many problems to solve there. Awesome. If that's all good, then let's move on. Basically, to position ourselves here, like I already said, in potential client's head, we need to understand what makes them unhappy. Because unless we understand that, then we just aren't going to be able to communicate to them that we can actually solve that thing, and they aren't going to see as good editors. So I want you guys to put in the chat, what do you think makes clients unhappy? Why do they hire editors? What are their biggest pain points? Deadlines, okay, that's a good one.
Maybe unprofessionality by some editors. They're not reliable. They just don't listen, or they don't give feedback.
That's good. That's good as well. Yeah, to be fair, guesses are really good so far.
I mean, it could be to get more sales on their videos as well, like more conversions in general.
Sales, we're gonna talk about sales now. But your guys' guesses has been really good. Like I'm talking really, really good. So the biggest lie I see spread in this editing community is that content creators hire editors for them to have more views on their videos. But the truth is, as editors, we can't control views, and the same goes for sales. Now, I think this is genuinely a huge thing for you to understand. Like over the next 10 or so, 15 slides, you're going to understand why this is a huge thing. But you just need to get this out of your head that content creators hire you to improve their views. Now, here's why. I know there are many clients that don't understand that, but good ones do. And for you to land those good ones, you need to understand this as well. So there are so many things that go into getting views. It can be idea, it can be packaging, it can be script, and all those things are more impactful than editing. Whether we like it or not, that's just how it is. And the same goes for sales. Like your editing can be perfect, but you aren't really going to improve client sales if their funnel is trash, or if their landing page is bad, or their camera presence isn't that good and they aren't being authentic on camera and viewers aren't resonating with them, so they don't want to buy from them. You can't really fix all these things, which is why I see so many editors just being fixated on views and sales. How can I get my client more views and how can I get them more sales? Trying to do like case studies and stuff. But I think it's a totally incorrect approach just because you can't really control this stuff. You guys agree with this, or do you want a super silly example to further emphasize this? Put in the chat 1 if you want the example, 2 if you don't want the example. 1. Let's go. That's what I was hoping for. I'm excited for this example. I'm so excited for this example. Okay, so full-time editor is about getting you from 1 to 2K per month to 5 to 10K per month in video editing. But I want you to imagine that it wasn't about that, and it was about instead getting you a girlfriend. Now, hear me out. This actually kind of makes sense, because when you get to 5 to 10K per month and start doing all these things, you feel better about yourself, you become more confident, you make more money, you... I would subscribe instantly. You basically, all these things happen. You now have an identity of a successful guy who, you know, achieves these big things. So that's going to make you more attractive to getting a girlfriend. But the issue with this thing is that there is so much more that goes into getting a girlfriend and making money. You know, it depends if it's the fourth thing or not the fourth thing. But I just can't sell full-time editor as something that's gonna get you girlfriends just because I can't control all this stuff. It, like, literally, it sounds very silly, but I think it is so close to as if you were to pitch more views or sales to your client. We're gonna, and it's not a totally bad idea, by the way, to mention these things like views or sales in your messages and just everywhere. But we're gonna talk about this a bit later, how you can make that so that it actually makes sense through things that you can control as a video editor. I hate that it makes sense. Yeah, I came up with this and I was like, dude, this makes so much sense. So if we shouldn't pitch views or sales to our clients, then what should we really sell as editors? And your guys' answers were really good. So here I would prompt you to put them in chat here again, but maybe you have something new, maybe you got a couple of new ideas, you know, because of what we just talked about. Retention, but don't tell him that, just show. So I don't think pitching retention is as good, or sorry, as bad as pitching views, but still scripting is like 50% of retention, and just the actual footage itself, what happens in the video, the idea as well.
Maybe, can I say something? Maybe you should just be like selling something you can 100% control.
Exactly. That is such a good point. This is something we're going to talk about now, and you can mention retention and all these things and views and sales as well. But I think tying that to something you have 100% control over. Improving video quality is a good one, and as well. All right, cool. Yeah, guys, to be fair, you kind of smashed your guesses. But here are the 3 highest leverage selling points we have as video editors. And the first one is adaptability. So adaptability is adapting to clients' unique style, not doing something you're used to do, or not doing something you saw on Twitter or stuff like that, but actually, you know, completely changing your whole editing perspective if you need to, in order to edit this format or style type of videos that the client is producing, so that they can get best results, because that's what is performing for them and that's what they want you to do. And here also learning from revisions, but honestly, it's not only revisions. Revisions are probably the biggest part of that, but just learning as you go, adapting to what's happening inside client's business, inside client's YouTube channel. Like we talked about building relationships with clients on the previous workshop, and we touched on things like checking YouTube comments to improve your videos over time. So that would be adaptability. You just have this mindset of you not being stuck in your old ways, but instead constantly improving, and that is super valuable to high-paying clients. The next one is reliability. So a lot of you have mentioned this in your answers, and this is honestly awesome. This is probably the lowest hanging fruit, and I would say this one happens if adaptability can be applicable to maybe not all the creators, maybe like, I don't know, 70%, whatever, then reliability would be applicable to every single high-paying client out there. Because if you can meet deadlines and if you can stay consistent, then you're gonna just outperform and outsell an editor that can do these things every single day. And we're gonna talk a bit later about on how to actually capitalize on basically these things and pitch them to clients. And the next one is quality. So a bunch of you mentioned a lot of things, like Panda mentioned design, video quality. That basically all of that goes to here. I said storytelling. What I meant here by storytelling is how nice the video is to watch, because mainly it's seeing the video from the viewer's perspective. Like I was reviewing a video from Nikos a couple of days ago, and it was quite a short video. It was 4 minutes long, but while reviewing, I just watched the whole video the whole way through because it was that nice to watch and that entertaining. And I think that is a huge thing. Storytelling in that aspect, just making the video nice to watch, because at the point where you're working with high paying clients, you're kind of expected to do the basic things, but still some editors just don't get the idea of making the video specifically nice to watch for the viewer, not for other editors or stuff like that. And attention to detail is huge as well. So this is something I've been getting complimented on a bunch of times myself from clients. And yeah, I've just been seeing this over and over again, where high paying clients specifically value attention to detail a lot, and they're willing to pay extra for that. So these are the 3 highest leverage selling points we have as video editors. But now let's actually go back over to this. So we have all these cool things that we can offer them, but we still need to understand what exactly makes clients unhappy, because that is the biggest thing. Like with these highest leverage things, all you need to do is to identify their biggest pain point. Out of these 3, what's their biggest one? And then just reassure them that you can basically solve it. And once you do that, they're sold on you and on your price, because these 3 are really painful and they are hard to find in editors. Does this make sense, guys?
Yeah, I think most of the times, like clients don't care about the creating unique style for them, because they just care about the sales.
So what I mean by unique style is not creating it from scratch, but instead adapting to what already is happening for the client. Honestly, for you, I would say it doesn't have to be the style. Here, I really mean just everything. And look, Luca, it's honestly the best example for you. You're working with Zidane, who has this really dramatic and aggressive personality. But before working with him, you might have had a client who's something totally different, who, was making different type of content, and the video was just different vibe. And let's say you were working with that client for like half a year, and you just really got used to their personality and how you edit video. Like you were making videos in this maybe a bit like goofy way with goofy music. Animations were bouncy and stuff like that. But now you're editing for Zidane. And Zidane doesn't have this yet. But honestly, I think it would be good for him to have it, kind of like an overall style. Like we talked with you about music. You would do something totally different for Zidane, just because his personality is different, his channel is different, his target audience resonates with something else. So it would be really adaptability and adapting to how Zidane speaks and how he carries himself, using totally different type of music to what you were using for the client who you worked with before, doing animations that look entirely different. Maybe before this, pink color was the main one in your animations, but with the Zidane, you aren't going to do it just because like it doesn't suit the client whatsoever. So this is, I would say, a simpler example, but a more complex example, it would be when a client already has a big channel and a format that is working really well for them, and they maybe are already experienced with other editors. Maybe they are even working with a couple of editors. They just need more. They're hiring more people onto their team, and they have a bunch of these SOPs on how they create their videos. Like you just need to follow that. Trust me, there are so many editors that would still do something totally different, kind of like they used to do with their past clients, or what they like to do more themselves, instead of actually going out of their way, not being lazy, and adapting to what the client wants and what drives the best results for this specific client.
Yeah, now I get it.
Yeah.
That's why onboarding new clients is important, because you always trying to learn new style.
I actually agree with that a lot. Yeah, I found that myself every time, even if it's same niche, same type of content like talking head and stuff like that, still with every client something is going to be different, and you're going to learn from just the sheer fact of working with a new client. This is an example that I wanted to give actually from Nikos, because we spoke today about, Nikos just messaged me regarding basically what he should do with this trial that he's working on, or this video that he's working on. But I think it's a really good example to showcase what his client's biggest pain point is. So from the messages that the client was sending to Nikos, and from just the references from the channel type that this guy has, is he has very unique type of videos that's not, your generic Iman Gadzi talking head or something like that. And he also sent a message that he's too busy to review rough drafts. So what do you guys think is this guy's biggest thing that he's looking for in an editor? Is it adaptability, reliability, or quality? Okay.
Reliability and quality.
Okay, Marty thinks quality. Luca, you said reliability?
I said reliability too.
The biggest is definitely reliability, but yeah.
You guys really think it's reliability?
I mean, if he's too busy, he needs someone who doesn't. I mean, it's adaptability actually. Too busy, it's adaptability.
I mean,
Nah, bro, I'm missing. Bro,
Adaptability.
it's like 33%, bro.
Nah, that's.
I might be cooked.
Yeah.
I might be cooked.
I will tell my experience. Like, my client told me that the hardest part for him was to actually find video editor.
When the guy says that the hardest part is to find an editor, you should ask something like, do you have experience working with editors, in terms of what went wrong with those people? The hardest thing is to find an editor. Finding an editor isn't a pain point, because you go on Twitter and you have 400 of copy-paste video editors there. Like, it's not that hard. You're just really trying to figure out what went wrong with people who they hired. Like, were they missing deadlines? Were they not following the style that they wanted, or stuff like that? Or was it the fact that, all the editors ask for a lot of money and I just don't have the money to pay that, but then that means that the guy is broke. So that's something you can't really solve.
Yeah, it's kind of general thing, but I think when client says that he just doesn't have time to review the rough drafts, he wants someone who can depend on and get the same quality all the time.
Yeah, I get that like the same way.
I see your guys' points, but I actually think it's adaptability, mainly because it's very unique type of videos. And this is the biggest thing. I think what happened there is the client, because he also has a big channel and he's definitely been working with other editors. I think what happened is he tried hiring people, but they just didn't follow his instructions or didn't follow his existing style that is working for him. And then he just spent tens of hours reviewing their edits, which is why right now he's too busy to review rough drafts. And adaptability is basically the ability to adapt to clients' unique style, what they already have, and then learn from their revisions when they actually give you revisions, so that you don't repeat the same mistake in the future. There is a deadline, like the client wants the video done by a certain point. So reliability is a thing for him, in terms of he doesn't want Nikos to take 2 months editing a video, and he obviously wants higher quality. But from these two things, they sounded like the biggest issue. And it means that basically for Nikos, in this example, the biggest lever point that he can pull is adaptability. Because if he just nails that, and if he's just okay with reliability and quality, like he just meets them, but nails this, then he solves client's biggest pain point. The client is going to be willing to work with Nikos. And to be fair, this is what's going to happen in pretty much every situation, because they're never going to be a situation with a client where everything is perfect except one of these three things. It's never going to be the case. All of them kind of suck, like all of them can be improved, but one is really the one that the client is struggling with the most right now. And that one, you want to just double down on it and really solve it for the client, because that's going to solve their main issue. After Nikos adapts to this guy's style, and now Nikos like learned from revisions, he can actually, nail this style every single time. He kind of, or not kind of, but just meets deadlines at an all right level. He's being reliable. Then the next thing might be to actually improve the quality. Client's content starts to perform kind of worse because the style is pretty stale. Nikos has adapted, but he's doing the same thing every single time. So, the next thing after that might be quality. Like it changes for every single client from one situation to another. And I think identifying this at one point in time is super important, because then you're going to be able to actually be valuable to the client. The closing process is to identify their biggest pain point. Like we talked about, they're going to have a lot, but what's their biggest one? Communicate that you understand the struggle. That is actually super important. Communicate that, okay, I actually understand that you have this specific style that I need to meet. Okay, I actually understand that your business's life depends on you posting weekly videos. Okay, I actually understand that your videos look kind of shit. That's why you realize that you're not getting sales. And then assure them that you can solve the issue. Obviously, don't lie, but being able to solve the issue once you understand it isn't even that difficult. Like all of you here are really good editors. You are ambitious as well. You're learning every single day. So adaptability is really just not being lazy. Reliability is just staying consistent, taking editing seriously, not switching to crypto or something random every 2 weeks, and then meeting deadlines, which someone like Ali might struggle or something. But that's fixable as well. And quality is something that we're obviously working towards every single day. You aren't gonna lie when you when you say that you can solve their main issue, but the client is gonna be so much more likely to work with you just because you actually understand what they're looking for. And that is a huge thing. Now, why are we not selling the outcome? Why are we not selling the fact that they're gonna get more sales, let's say, from these weekly videos? Because that's the advice you see everywhere online, right? Because there are such things as awareness levels. So we already identified that all these issues that clients have, like they can't find good editors, or they can't upload consistently, or their videos look kind of bad, all of them lead to the fact that they want to make more money. But if their only thought so far is I need to make more money, that's awareness level 0, and you just can't really sell to people at this stage. Because if you were to sell to people at this stage, then what you would tell them is, I'm gonna help you make more money. And it doesn't matter if you do that through YouTube videos or through Facebook ads, because they don't realize themselves that they need to fix this particular part of their business in order for their business to make more money. Does that make sense, guys? Put 1 in the chat if it does. 3, gotcha. 2. Okay, Ali, just imagine that you're trying to sell to, and probably should have said this at the very beginning because this is super important. Even Nikos' example, Nikos is already working with the client, but it's also about raising prices. These things are going to change over time, and for you to be able to successfully raise prices, you can't just be doubling down on one thing all the time. You need to be solving all 3, because all 3 of them are going to be kind of interchanging with one another. So for you, Ali, you're working with, right? And runs this huge media production. He probably doesn't sell anything. He just makes money from ad revenue. So his big goal is, okay, I need to make more money. How do I do that? I post one thing, more videos, and second thing, better performing videos. Now, his next thought is, how do I do this? I hire better editors who are really good at editing, so they can fix quality, they can adapt to my style and actually take my revisions, and they can meet deadlines. That's gonna lead to post better videos more consistently. And the awareness stages that he goes through is, first thing, I need to make more money. Second thing, I need to post better videos more regularly. Third thing, I need my editors to have either better adaptability, better reliability, or better quality. It's gonna depend on every single situation. Like right now, he surely has editors other than you, and they might be messing up like on the quality. He's not happy with the quality. So if he mentions that to you and you figured that out, then you improve his life by a lot. But basically, regarding the awareness things, you can't really sell to when he just wants to make more money, because he needs to realize, okay, I need to post better videos more consistently in order to make more money. That's basically, this is the awareness point when you can identify what's the bottleneck. Is it adaptability, reliability, or quality? And then you just double down on it and you solve this issue, which inevitably is going to lead him to solving this bigger issue, but you just can't sell him on this because you can't help him with all these other things like recording in better quality or finding better ideas for videos. No, he needs to actually arrive to this conclusion. I need to post higher quality videos more consistently or more frequently. Does that make sense now? Yeah, okay, cool. There are two ways to figure out what the client really is looking for, like what are their pain points, and for you to actually essentially implement this framework. So you first identify it, you just ask them, then you communicate to them that you understand the struggle, and you communicate to them that you can actually solve it. The two ways that this all can be happening is either DMs or sales calls. And do you need sales calls? Short answer is no. So sales calls cons is because friction is crazy. The friction for the client to schedule, to find time in their calendar, then kind of readjust their schedule in order to actually take this call, then speaking to you there instead of just, sending a couple of messages. That is a lot of friction for them to go through in order to end up on the call. And another sales calls con is that you just might mess it up because you're not a salesperson, you're a video editor, so you don't know all the ins and outs, which is totally fair. Sales calls pros is that objectively it's better to do this on the call than in the DMs. Like if you have a person on the call and if you understand the current outcome, desired outcome, if you follow it roughly, you don't need a script, you don't need anything like that. You just need to be human and you need to realize, okay, this guy really wants to improve sales from his YouTube channel. And for that, let me ask a question. How do you think he can do that? What's his experience with editors like before? What are his goals with YouTube? All these things. And then just basically saying, okay, so your previous editor sucks just because he can't meet deadlines. I can do this. My price per video is going to be this. So on a call, technically is better because you build rapport immediately, like you're a person who's speaking to them, and you will find out the pain points 100% just because they aren't going to jump off a call. They aren't going to press the button like, leave the call. It's not going to happen like that. In the DMs, it might happen. You might get ghosted if you ask an extra question. That is always a possibility. But yeah, personally, I don't think you need sales calls just because all of this is doable in the DMs, and really these pains for your clients are so top of mind. Like, trust me, every day, the bottleneck in their media businesses is that they're not putting out enough high quality content. And the main bottleneck in the whole media production thing is editor. So like every single day, chances are if they're not happy with it, it's just going to be top of their mind. And it can take just one message of you saying, yes, I can deliver weekly videos in this exact style. And then they check out your portfolio, you already have experience there. They're like, okay, bet, what's your rate? You say the rate, they're fine with it just because they know that you can deliver. Antonello, go ahead.
My opinion about like sales calls is that you can close them for a higher price if you get them on the call, for the reasons that you can highlight better the whole pain point. But is there a way that you could do the same via chat, like the same way you do that on calls? Because in my opinion, on the calls, you could really, if you do this everything properly, like make yourself the reason why they could get closer to their goals, you could really get the prices so much higher.
I know what you mean, definitely, yeah. And this is why sales calls are objectively better. I don't think you can do this at the same extent over text. But the cool thing is that you're always going to be able to hop on a call with them once you already
Yeah.
establish that connection and once you edit a couple of videos for them. Like if they actually see here's the thing, it's not you scamming them and you just trying to sell them once and then not deliver on your promises. Once you start working with them and once they see that you are delivering on what you've promised, and now they have all this mental bandwidth, the pain of not having a good editor isn't top of mind for them anymore. They actually can focus on other stuff and their life is much better. Then you can raise your prices from there.
So look, what you just watched was a live workshop inside Full-Time Editor. And honestly, the real magic happens when I can look at your specific situation and help you identify the things that your prospects are really looking for. If you are already making 1K per month and you are serious about scaling to 5 to 10K per month and you want my personalized help with that, like you just saw with Nikos and all the other guys we have inside the program, we should talk. Just use the first link in the description to book a call with me and we'll figure it out what's exactly keeping you stuck and whether Full-Time Editor is the right fit to get you to that next level. But either way, stop selling outcomes and start selling what you actually can control instead.